9D metric. I see a circular feature here. It's been trimmed up. It's got some concentric arcs to, well, some concentric arcs, concentric circles and arcs. And then I see somewhat of a horizontal or rectangular feature here with a circular end feature as well. So again, I've got a lot of tangencies. Tangencies are pretty prevalent in the machining world here. Now it's a little hard. The images aren't that great. I am going to determine, let's see, this is obviously a fillet, 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 fillet. Here it says note small radii radius of 6. So this is another way of doing it instead of calling out every little fillet. Now here, this appears to be pointed here, that intersection. This one's a little questionable, kind of depends on the quality of the ink and the image. I'm going to say no, these two here are not fillets, but I'm going to say everywhere else is. Now here it's questionable, but again, I'm just going to make the decision that's where they are and that's where they're not. So, sorry, get the recorder on there. Okay, so again, metric, I'm going to start off with my center lines. So in this case, about, let's see, 86, and then another 64. So I'm going to say 160. Excuse me. So I'll put that there. And then I've got a couple verticals. I know one of the circles, the arc is 64, 128. So I'll say 140. Put it up here and a little over there. And then I'm going to have one that is a distance of 86 to the right. I'll go ahead and stretch this out just in case. And these are all my center lines, so I will change their color. And then I'll do some circles here. A radius of 64 for that outside one. Stretch this out. And then I will do another circle, a radius of 52. That is that inner one here. I'm not going to worry about trimming anytime too soon. Again, feel free at any time you feel necessary to keep things clear for you. Diameter here of 16, and they do show another diameter, even though that should be a radius. That would be 30. And then I've got some horizontal features here connecting those two. Let's see. I am going to go ahead and trim using those as my cutting or trimming objects. I'll just do that for now. And what else do I know is true? I've got some angular dimensions in there. Now, let me go ahead and throw these two circles on there. Looks like a diameter of 34 and a diameter of 22. And that is not right. I made a mistake. Diameter 34. That is a radius of 22. So here I go. Click on the diameter, 22. There, that looks better. And I now find a dimension, a leader up in the top right corner, 7x radius 6. So that can be used to determine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's peculiar, but we'll worry about that. That's minor details in my opinion. So right now, I'm going to go back to those angular dimensions. I do see on the left, near the bottom, I see a 15 degrees down from the left horizontal. That line, I would hope you can see that that line, as well as up to the right of the vertical center line, a 30 degree angle to that line, right side of vertical. Those lines project to and from this center point right here. So in that case, I'm just going to simply draw lines. Now, in this case, it's going from the right horizontal, so it's a supplementary angle. I don't care how long it is. I'm going to type in, let's see, 15 from 180 is 165. And I'll go ahead and draw this one up here as well. That line being 30 from vertical back to the right. So that would be 90 minus 30, which is 60 degrees. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and trim using those now. Actually, I'll want to extend my arcs a little farther, but that's okay for now. The other lines, for example, this line here, there is another line parallel to it, a distance of 12. Now notice those arrowheads, they're kind of at an incline. Think of it as a thickness. Well, if it's 12 thick here, 12 thick here, 12 thick here, then I need to copy this line over to the right. Again, that little yellow dash that you see from projecting from that midpoint to where my crosshair is, that line needs to be perpendicular to the existing line. This is an excellent example of why or where I would want to use the offset command. So I'm going to type in 12 and click, and this is truly 12 units wide. I think we discussed this in class. If we're going to measure how wide the class is, if you want to get real accurate, the room, you're going to measure perpendicular to those walls or the other direction. Again, you're not going to measure somewhat, a lot of times I'll say cockeyed or at an angle to get the width or the length of the room. It needs to be perpendicular to those walls. So this down here, this thickness here, I don't see anything showing me what that should be. I do have a thickness for these, and I do have two different radii which give me a thickness here, and then this horizontal connecting piece I have 19 for that thickness. I'm going to go ahead at this time until I come across something else and say that this piece here should also be 12 in this case millimeters, 12 millimeters away. So I'll do offset again. It's already set at 12. Right click, and there that is. So this is what I'm going to go with. Now I do know that this line is trimmed. It stops here at this arc and at this arc here. So I'm going to go ahead and trim using this and this. As a matter of fact, this line up here is also stopped by that arc. So right click, 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 and there I go. So I can fix these here in just a second, but until I do, I need to, or before I trim those, I need to extend this arc. And this is the nice thing about the extend command, is if it's a curved feature such as an arc, it's going to continue it in with that curvature, that using that radius. It's not going to extend it straight out as if we were to draw a line. So click, click, that is good. Now I can trim this item and this item with that arc. So these portions down here definitely don't exist. Trim here and here. And if you want, you can go ahead and trim the arcs or this circle as such. And that's starting to take shape, really starting to show exactly what I have. Now, that 19, this horizontal feature that is 19 wide, you should be able to see or determine that that appears to be symmetrical about that horizontal line. So I will do an offset. Half of 19 is 9.5 here and here. These are not center lines, so I'll change that. And they basically these lines go until they meet something. So I'll just say these are my cutting lines or cutting objects. These don't exist anymore. And then my cutting objects here, here, and here. Now all I have left is to fillet all those corners. There are a total of 7x radius 6, R6. Now here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and up here 7. Okay, we're done.